Tom Hart. He's president of the Canadian Critical Incident Incorporated. Tom, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure.
Let's talk about the situation in Haiti, first of all, and how these missionaries found themselves in this situation. It is a dangerous and terrible place right now for anyone at this point. Why do you think this happened? How did this happen?
Well, why? It's obviously the people are highly organized, or reasonably organized, and what we described as instrumental type criminal. So they're very high risk. The hostages are at great risk. But ideally, you want to start negotiating. Get a clear line of communication, whether it be landline or cell phone or otherwise. Determine who's the leader of this gang, and then what is their demands. They want $1 million, I understand. It's fine. When you get a demand from hostage takers, that's not a bad thing. Actually, that's a good thing. So you can start working with that. You want to start developing a rapport with the leader. And time is a big issue. The longer you can keep them on the phone, keep negotiating, even if they want $1 million. Well, the negotiating team will pass that information on to the incident command team, and the command team will make that determination whether they're willing to provide that demand. But in the meantime, let's get back to discussion. How would that be delivered? What type of currency? All these other pieces of interesting conversation are important to develop that rapport. Another thing to keep in mind is that the activists, the people who have taken these kids hostage, they need the negotiating team in order to get their money. So that's an advantage for the negotiating team and the incident command team to follow through. The longer they talk to them, the greater the rapport they're making with the leaders. And it also gives a great opportunity, if they choose to do a tactical option, which is most likely, they have time to rehearse, time to prepare.
$1 million per hostage, that's $17 million this group is looking for. One of those is a Canadian. Would the government be involved? And what about the issue of paying a ransom?
Well, that's up to the government. I can speak on the fundamentals of crisis negotiating. I've done a lot of negotiating over the years. It's getting back to the demands and working through those demands, whether it be $1 million that the government is prepared to spend. That's a command decision. And as a negotiating team, you don't get really involved in that. You just work the details out and how that would be delivered if they choose to pay that amount.
But precedent shows the government has always maintained it doesn't pay ransom, but private individuals could come up with the money. Is that right?
That's quite possible. And I respect the government's decision. The RCMP, if they're involved in the negotiations, they're a great team, highly professional, highly qualified negotiating team. The incident command team, I can't speak for the Haitian government down there, but certainly if this was taking place in Canada, particularly in Ontario, they wouldn't be negotiating for that amount of money, for sure.
There are children involved, a baby, toddlers. How does that change the dynamic, Tom?
Well, that makes it more high risk. What I would be looking at is talking to the leaders, or the leader, and finding out, and the parallel to that would be the investigative team would be getting a list of the people in there. What are the names? And then start identifying names with the hostage taker. And looking at some kind of reasoning with these individuals. If harm would come to the hostages, then that loses out in any potential payment. The hostages are a valuable asset to the hostage taker at this moment. And you work on that.
I'm almost out of time, but what is the likelihood of a good outcome here? Are there percentages? How would you see this unfolding?
I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is not so long ago, New South Wales had a terrorist attack, and the hostages were 17 people taken hostage for 16 hours. The New South Wales negotiating team did a remarkable job, and that gave the tactical team enough time to do a rehearse and prepare for a dynamic rescue, and they did a remarkable hostage rescue, saving 15 of the 17 people. I think there's a high success rate depending on the tactical team and the incident command team.